There's a lot of products that will help you in like your SDR flow and your sales flow. And I don't think the marketplace needs another one. There's a lot of products that help you with accounting. I don't think the marketplace needs another one. What the marketplace needs, in my opinion, is the marketplace needs what we're building underneath of that connect all of these things together so that these agentic systems have, in a sense, become an agentic system of agentic systems. And I thought, man, if every single developer and every single employee that I had was utilizing AI to augment themselves, and I had 300 Hansels all working for me, all trying to accomplish the same thing, it would be like having a 3,000 person company with 300 people. Like, imagine what you could get done.
Imagine waking up to find out all your business's process runs smoothly, emails sent, reports generated, new videos with your AI avatar already produced, and publish it across all your social media accounts. New ad campaigns are live and the new traffic is flooding to your latest offer automatically. And on top of that, your team is working 10 times more effectively. If that sounds like a science fiction, get ready, because in this episode, we'll show you it's real and it's working now. Hello, smart people, and welcome back to AI Masters Voice. I'm your host, Martin Jakub, founder of AI Masters Agency, and today we're diving deep into the fascinating topic, how AI practically reshapes businesses. Whether you are an entrepreneur looking for the level up your game, a tech enthusiast, or someone curious about how AI is transforming our professional landscape, this episode is for you. Today, our guest is a business leader and visionary who has spent years not only experimenting with AI, but making it work in the real business scenarios. Jesse Anglen is here to share how he has integrated AI into his company Rapid Innovation, trained his team to embrace it, and achieved exponential productivity. We'll explore key questions like, what does it take to truly integrate AI into your workflows? How do you train teams to see AI as a collaborator, not a threat? What are the barriers to adopting AI and how can they be overcome? Jesse, welcome to the show.
Martin, thanks for having me, man. This is going to be fun. This is probably my favorite subject of all of the subjects that exist in the world today.
That's great. It's really amazing, Jesse. Yes. So before we dive into today's topic, I would like to learn a little bit more about you and your background, your journey into AI, and how it became a game changer for you and your company. So can you do that?
I would love to. How far back do you want to go? No, I'm just, I won't.
I don't know. When you started, when you started your digital career, let's talk from this perspective.
Sweet. So I had an interesting background. My dad worked construction. He built houses for a living. So I hated school. And so I graduated high school when I was 14. My mom said I could drop out as soon as I finished 12th grade. And I went, okay, well then I'll just finish 12th grade as fast as I can. And so finished school really early, got into construction, right? So that was my very first career. And as a very young person in construction, one of the thing that I noticed first was that all of my bosses were stupid. Now, one thing I will say is that they actually weren't as dumb as I thought they were at, 17, 16, 17, 18 years old. I was just really arrogant. But that realization that my bosses were dumber than me was what motivated me to think about starting businesses, right? Because I thought, man, if these guys can do it, then I should be able to do a much better job. And so my first business that I ever started was actually in the construction industry. Eventually moved from that into the real estate industry because I thought, I don't want to build houses for a living. I think it'd be fun to sell houses. And that's where I met this guy named Zach, who was an entrepreneur. I mean, he was like the entrepreneur's entrepreneur. He thought of a new business idea like 3 times a day. His biggest problem was trying to narrow it down to the ones that he really wanted to do. And he got me really interested into future technology and just into building things. He was building a CRM at the time that was very, very innovative. And Go ahead.
By the way, what year it was to just understand what we are talking
So this
about?
would have been 2009. Uh, so
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
so I met him in 2009. He's building the CRM, and of course, I had lots of ideas of how like a CRM could be better than all of the other like
Mhm.
customer management systems that I'd used. And so I was giving him ideas. He really liked a lot of the ideas that I was giving him. And so eventually he actually asked me to just talk directly to his developers and act like a UX guy that just gave UX
Okay,
feedback. And so I was doing that and realized, man, there's so much power in being able to work directly with developers and build products. Like this is an amazing, amazing thing. And so worked with him for a while, building out this project. I'm trying to remember what we called it. I think it was called Simple CRM or something like that. The idea behind it was every time you finish a task, you should have to create a new task before moving on to the next client because there's always a follow-up action in business development and sales. And so it had this very simple workflow where you logged in, it said, here's the 50 things you have to do today that are each attached to a client. And then when you finished one, it wouldn't let you move on to the next one until you put a new follow-up task in. And then we started adding things like we added an automated caller. So it would call straight to someone's voicemail and leave them a voicemail if you wanted to do follow up and
mhm.
all of this other stuff. It was super, super fun to develop. And that was my first like build software experience was working with him on that product. Eventually, he moved on from that and got into the blockchain space. This was probably late 2010.
Okay.
He tried to get me into the blockchain space, and I just wasn't super interested. The story behind that is fascinating, just because he was a crazy person. But he had owned a bunch of real estate, and he called me up one day and said, "Jesse, I need you to sell all of my real estate. I want to buy this thing called Bitcoin." And I tried to talk him out of it because I thought this is horrible. Like he's gonna sell he's going to sell $3 million worth of cash flowing real estate to pull out $400,000 worth of equity and buy these digital tokens that are some scam on the internet. It just didn't make any sense. And back then, I think Bitcoin must have been $2 or $3 or something like that. And so he was going to buy,
Yeah, yeah.
he was going to buy a million of these Bitcoins for this $400,000. I just thought, man, this is so stupid. Like I've just never met anyone so dumb in my life to exchange real estate for Bitcoin. Who would do that?
We are talking now, it's December of 2024. Now Bitcoin crashed a little bit in a couple of days because all the markets after Powell's speech crashed a bit, let's say. But having now 1 million bitcoins, it's not so bad
Not so bad.
idea
Yeah, not
from
so bad. I
today's
mean,
perspective.
only a couple, what, would that be $1 billion or would that be, what's
I
the,
think it's $1 billion.
yeah, I think it'd be
Yeah,
about $1 billion. Well, and the thing that
yeah.
was interesting about, so he sold all of his real estate, he bought Bitcoin, and then he had a great job, right? Like he worked in the tech
Boom.
space, he was making maybe $500,000 a year. He bought a shed from a hardware store, stuck it on his parents' property, ran an extension cord out to the shed. He bought a pallet of ramen noodles so that he could get them cheap, and a bucket and sawdust. And he used the bucket to go to the bathroom. He ate ramen noodles, lived in a 10 by 8 shed, and bought Bitcoin. And that's all he did with his life was he bought Bitcoin for a year,
Wow.
and he amassed a great deal of like a lot of Bitcoin. Which he eventually got into Ethereum and some of the other stuff later on. And so my origin story into tech, into really doing this for a living, was when he invited me to partner with him on a bunch of decentralized technology that he was building in the real estate industry. And so
Okay.
I got out of real estate, got out of the stuff that I was doing, joined him, we started building things. And that would have been probably 2014, about a year before Ethereum mainnet launched, which I know this is not a blockchain podcast, but we're getting to the AI part.
But I understand you are from
Yes.
blockchain industry, so I didn't expect it what you won't mention
Yes.
it. So
Yeah, it would have
all
to
is
it would
good.
have to go there. Well, and really
Yeah, yeah.
blockchain was my first was this eye-opening moment where I realized that there's all this tech that exists that people are utilizing, and then there's all the future tech that no one's using, and everyone's just coming up with these little like gimmicks in a sense, or fake products that don't really add value, but they kind of prototype what the world might look like in the future,
Okay.
right? And so we had, the decentralized finance craze, and we had digital assets, and we had all this stuff. Well, AI was one of those same things. Like I remember when Google came out with TensorFlow back in 2017, and it's like, oh my gosh, like anyone can start building these little machine learning models and do this stuff. So I started to become interested as a hobby in the AI space back in 2017.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I started playing around with it. Like I created my very first like handwriting recognition software that I thought would be interesting for like some OCR stuff. I created an algorithm that would actually create handwriting, like it would duplicate someone's handwriting. So you could go give it a sample, and then it would write handwritten notes to people. And like I just messed around with other little interesting things, and all while just playing around in the blockchain space, right? Building up rapid innovation. I think I started this company with there was three of us. Well, one developer, three founders. So there's four of us that started. So I was building up this company, exploring AI, and really just focused in on the service side of and the innovation side of blockchain. Well, then you fast forward to about 2020,
Okay.
and I had an employee that I caught using AI. Right? Oh no, the boss catches your employee using AI. And what's funny is that number one, he was hiding it. Right? He didn't want to. He didn't want to tell anyone that he had basically
A
started using.
superpower, you
Yes,
know.
well, he had started using ChatGPT 2 to do a huge portion of his job. And what I noticed when I caught him was that he had gotten a lot better at his job. Like just overnight. Like it went like and he was doing a great job, but in the course of 3 months, all of a sudden he was doing 10 times the work that he was doing at 10 times the quality. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, this guy is really, really doing well. And so,
But
I,
overnight,
yes.
you notice the
Oh,
difference,
yeah.
like suddenly.
Oh, and he was one of 300 people that worked for me, right? And so for me to notice the improvement was drastic, right? Because I got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And so I got on a call with him one day, and I'm like, man, like, so what are you doing? Like these, because he worked in the discovery department, right? So he was basically taking new clients that were onboarding, and he was creating these really, really complex discovery documents that outlined what their project was and exactly what we needed to do, the features, all that stuff, so that our developers could work on it. And he was just getting it done so fast and with way higher quality than we had ever been able to do it before. And he was one guy, right, doing the work of five people. It was like, what is going on? And so I got on a call with him, and he admits to me that, well, I'm actually using AI. Like I haven't created a discovery document in the last 3 months. I instead started leveraging, and he had built really a simple agentic system using ChatGPT 2 to create these discovery documents. And so he would feed it white papers and the stuff that the clients would give us, and it would churn out this document.
Which is
And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like this is really, really cool. And so I started following what OpenAI was doing and ChatGPT, and trying to figure out how to use it. And it was very clunky back then. It wasn't very good. I mean, people
Yeah, yeah. I remember when
like,
ChatGPT 2 was there, I was even looking at this because my partner was showing it, hey Martin, we should build something on this. At that moment, I was not sure, let's say,
yep,
how we can use it, and so I can imagine
yep.
it
And
was
it was
not the
just,
same time.
I mean, it was just clunky. It was hard to use, right? And
Yeah.
so I was trying to understand, like, how do we actually use this in a practical way? Because,
Mhm.
Hansel's figured this out, and he's done a really,
Yeah.
really good job. Like, how do I do it across the board? Like, could it be used to write code? Could it? And my mind started going crazy on stuff. Well, then fast forward a little bit, and all of a sudden, ChatGPT 3.5 drops, and I went and used it for the first time. And I will remember the day that I used ChatGPT 3.5 for the rest of my life, because
Tell me. I'm really interested about those first impressions and the days when you understood and catch that aha moment.
Well,
So
so it was in the evening, work was done. I created an account. I logged in. I thought, okay, this will be interesting. Like it's the newest version.
OpenAI account, yeah,
OpenAI account, yep.
yeah.
And I remember just asking it a question. I think I maybe just said like, hi, how are you? And it's like, hi, I'm doing well. How are you? And I thought, that's weird. It's like talking to a person. Like I just it was strange, and so I thought, well, I wonder what it can do. And so I think the very first thing I ever did was I got on LinkedIn, and I found someone that I wanted to reach out to and start build a
Mhm.
relationship with, and I copied their entire LinkedIn profile. I pasted it into ChatGPT and I said, "Hey, can you help me come up with some creative messaging that might get these people interested in talking to me?" And it's like spit out 3 ideas. And I'm like, "What in the world is this thing that I have just stumbled on?" Like it's like talking to a human. It's like it's intelligent. It can think, it can reason, it can understand the context that I'm giving it. And I stayed up all night. I worked during the day and I stayed up all night for 3 days doing nothing but just play with ChatGPT. And this was like really early days. So it didn't have any
It was
boundaries.
2022 or something, yeah?
Yeah, something right in there. Well, it was. I think I created an account about
Or
2 hours.
23, I
Yeah, it was about 2 hours after they opened it up and allowed you to
Oh,
create
okay.
accounts. Right. So it
Okay, so
was.
23.
Yeah, it was immediately after you could create kind of the first public account. And it was fun because back then there were no guardrails, right? It would tell you how to create a bomb. It would tell you how to make methamphetamine. Like it didn't care. It would tell you anything. And I even at
So
one,
I assume you asked that, yeah?
I mean, no,
Just for testing
I
purposes.
would never, never, never ask it all of those things. Um,
Okay.
yes, no, of course I had to ask it that stuff. Well, and then even in the beginning when they were trying to figure out how to like control the thing, I was figuring out ways to
Mhm.
jailbreak it because it was so easy to jailbreak back then.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and there was one moment probably a week in when I got it to connect to the internet, like it would do an actual search of a URL. Really, really early days, which they ended up shutting down in like 2 or 3 hours. It was so much fun to play with. And I called up a friend of mine afterwards and asked him, "Hey," I said, "can we get together for lunch? I need to share something with you that is just epic." So we got together and I said, and I tried to explain to him what it was, and he didn't get it. He had like this just glazed over look, like, yeah, well, like, can we talk about something else? And I was like, man, you don't understand. Like, this is the greatest discovery since mankind smashed two rocks together and started a fire. Like, this is like you don't understand how revolutionary this will be. Like it's intelligence in a computer that you could actually like have an API and you could create, and my mind was just going nuts, right? Like I couldn't contain all of the crazy ideas that I was having. And so the next several months was me trying to convince my business partners that this was something that we really seriously needed to look into. And eventually I did, and we did, and we started playing around with how to actually use this technology to grow our business, right? Because at the time I had about 300 and maybe 350 developers that worked for me, in-house developers. And I thought, man, if every single developer and every single employee that I had was utilizing AI to augment themselves, and I had 300 Hansels all working for me, all trying to accomplish the same thing, it would be like having a 3,000 person company with 300 people. Like, imagine what you could get done. And, uh, and so, yeah, it was a very, 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 very exciting time. And we went to work. I had a meeting with the whole company, and I said, "Hey, listen, here's the deal. I need every single person inside Rapid Innovation to learn how to augment themselves with artificial intelligence. Like I know that there's a lot of you using it and hiding it from your boss because for some reason we think as employees that we need to hide this stuff from our bosses. I'm like, no more hiding it. Everyone is required to use it, and they're required to understand how to start building systems utilizing AI that's going to make them better at their jobs. And
Just Jesse, can I stop you here because I think this is really, really important part. We will come back to your story and we will continue. But I see a lot of business owners, even today, they're trying to say, "Oh, it's a bubble; it will somehow burst and go away," and etc. Yeah, my reaction is the same. So I totally agree with you. And even thinking about or having in mind the idea what everyone on the company should use AI and should embrace all possibilities what they can do, and you need to kind of put the power in people's hand, in your employees hand, and say, no, you won't lose your job. You will lose your job if you won't do it.
Yeah.
And I believe now we can continue on your story because I know where it leads and it's really, really interesting. So I just want to say to everyone who is watching and they have a business, and if you're still thinking, should I embrace using AI in my business? My opinion, and as I understand Jesse's opinion, he did it practically. You should.
Yeah.
There's no other way. There's no
No.
other way.
I mean, think about
If
it
you
like
want to
this.
be in the business,
Think about it
yeah,
like this. If
please.
you could have, if every one of your employees could tomorrow start doing 10 times better, do a 10 times better job at what they do and do 10 times more than they're doing today. If that could happen tomorrow, what business owner would say, no, 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 we can't do that? It doesn't make any sense because you get 10x the quality and you get 10x the productivity out of all of your best people. Like we've been dreaming of cloning human beings, right? Every single business owner I've ever met, they joke about it, right? Like, oh man, I wish I could have 10 of me, or I wish I could have 10 of my best employee. It's like, guess what?
This is
You
this
can.
was my yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly my dream from my when I was 6 years old. I wanted to clone myself, and I thought, okay, it's a child's dreams, but now we are living in this world. And by the way, I'm preparing the workshop how to clone myself with AI
Really?
in the coming
That's
months. Yes.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay,
So
let's continue.
so
Yeah.
basically how it ended up playing out practically was that I called an all hands meeting and I went to everyone in the company. I said, listen, here's the thing. Everyone in this company is going to learn how to use AI or they're going to have to find another job. Um,
How
because
much time you give them?
6 months.
6 months.
Yep,
Okay.
6 months. I said, and I we did a check at 3 months, and then you basically there was a 6 month deadline to where if you hadn't embraced AI and started using it and learned how to use it, then I was going to invite you to go find another company to work at where, I mean, there's a lot of companies that were banning AI, like they wouldn't let people use
Oh,
it.
oh yeah.
There was a lot of companies that you had to use it in secret or that, I'm like, there, if you don't want to use it, there's a ton of places that you can go and work where you don't have to use it. But here at Rapid Innovation, every single person that works for me is going to learn to use AI to make themselves better at their job, or they're not going to have a job here. And so we played that out over the course of the next 6 months. The company did need to reduce in size at the end of that 6 months from that 300 and something mark down to about 160 people. And so I needed to let
Wow.
a lot of people go that just weren't feeling it and didn't see it. And like I said, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there and things you can do where you don't need to use AI, but rapid innovation was going to. Like that was such a huge priority for me that rapid innovation needed to do this because number one, we're a service company, right? We help people do stuff. And if I can be 10 times better at helping people do stuff, 10 times faster at helping people do stuff, like how does that not make sense? Like it just makes sense, right? To augment. And so
And
we
your brand name,
yeah,
yeah,
it's rapid
says it.
innovation, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We
exactly.
have to. And so we did. And what's interesting
Mhm.
is that if you look at our reduction in workforce, right, just the raw
Yeah.
numbers, um, what you'll see is that you'll see an increase in productivity, like we can help more people, an increase in revenue, increase in productivity, increase in what we can get done. by maybe not a ton, 10%, 20%, something like that, but a decrease in the number of people it takes to do it by almost 75%. And
Wow.
so we were able to do more with 75% less people, which is crazy. Like if you're a business owner and you're listening to this, like think about what that does. Like go give that to your CFO and tell me that that is not just a really really good idea.
Or to your investors,
Yeah, or to your investors or to anybody, right? So we really embraced it, which was a lot of fun. And since that day, we've basically been building, I would say, somewhat complex agentic systems that are doing things completely like automatically inside our company, from our YouTube
Yeah, yeah.
videos
Before
to
jumping
all of
on
that stuff.
this,
So
I have some questions on this
okay.
because last time you showed me, and you already mentioned the YouTube videos, and I want you to give to the viewers of this podcast their understanding. And this is not some sort of, let's say, concept of the app or something. This is what already working in your business. The last time when we had the call with Jesse showed me the video. He said, I have no idea what's in that video, but it was already really nicely produced. I worked with the video for the last almost 2 decades. I had free business in video production. And when I watched it, I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And you said, yeah, 36 or something AI agents basically created the script, prepared the video, did all the production, and published it online. So, can you tell me about that process? What's inside? Oh, of course, you can expose it as much as you want or as little as you want.
Well, yeah, well, what I'll do is so there was this product called HeyGen that came out a while
Okay.
back, right? That makes these, it basically would create like a deep fake of you in a sense, but it was a deep fake that was just empty, right? You could fill it up with whatever you want. If you went and created an audio script, you'd give it to it, it would talk. It was like having this AI avatar. And for me inside, so I've always had this marketing company. I was like, hey Jesse, you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to do this. And I'm just not the guy who wants to sit in front of a camera and make marketing videos. Like I like watching them and I like doing other stuff, but I don't want to sit there and do that. Like it's a huge drain. I don't love it. It's just not something. I'm a builder, right? I like to build things.
Don't be afraid of that word, what you mentioned last time. What are your relationship with the marketing?
Yeah, well, I just really really don't like it. I at the end
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
day, I'm a builder.
It's a nice word.
Yes,
Nice word.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we get it. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't love it. Marketing is not my thing. I'm not good at it. I don't like doing it. At the end of the day, like I brute force all of my marketing in like lead gen, right? I'd rather call 1,000 people and ask them to be my client than make a YouTube video. It's just
Okay.
how I'm built. And so
Really good comparison.
yes.
Thanks.
And so when I saw HeyGen, I thought, man, you know what I could do is I could record a 5-minute video and I could create a model of myself that is talking and then give that to the marketing team. And then I could go on 11 Labs, which we don't use 11 Labs anymore, but I think we use PlayHT today. And I could create a clone of my voice. And then all that my marketing team has to do is write a script. They take the script, they feed it to HeyGen. They download the HeyGen video, they produce it and turn it into a marketing piece, and then I don't have to do anything. And I thought, oh, this is a great idea. So I went and created it all. I'm like, man, this is actually like it's working out really well. And then I started thinking through like the agentic side of things. Like, why is it that I have people who are doing this manual work? Like, why don't I create an agent to go out and research on the internet what topics are trending? And then that agent can bring that back to my people and then they'll create a script. I'm like, well,
Yes.
that doesn't make any sense. Why don't I have that agent feed another agent that creates a script? And then why don't and then my people can review it. So then we do that. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why don't I have an agent review the script to make sure that the script is good before we give it to my guys? Okay, so now we're doing that, and it's like, well, why are we editing these videos? Like the editing is the same on everything, kind of. Why don't we have an AI agent that watches all of it and figures out where to cut it and how to help edit and put the video together? And so then we do that, and it gives the information to the video editor, makes him faster. Well, then pretty soon it's like, well, wait, why are we editing these videos? Like, why don't we just have an AI agent that, or an agentic system that's actually doing the editing on the videos? And pretty soon, just through this thinking of why not replace this piece with an agent, what we had was an agentic system that was capable of like producing content, and the content is pretty good. I mean, you've seen it. Like,
Yeah,
I
I was surprised. It was really high quality. By the way, I can include the link into the description or somewhere in the video so people can watch it.
Yeah, you'll have to send them out. Make sure you pick a good one because not all of them turn out
Yeah.
great, but most of them do. When this was the moment when I realized this was going to work. My wife and I were taking a walk. I live like way out in rural North Idaho, right? So we're walking down the road, and out of the blue, my wife says, "Do you actually believe that?" I had no idea what she was talking about. I'm like, "Actually believe what?" And she said, "Well, you just put out a video this morning, and you were talking about," and I forget exactly what the video was about, but she's like, "You were talking about how like all people are going to be replaced." And then there was something that I said in the script that was just not Jesse. Like I would have never said it.
Okay. Okay.
And she was actually a little bit upset that I would have said it, right? That I would create
Yeah.
content because it was like me breaking my integrity, right? As a person. It was just very not Jesse. And I had no idea what she was talking about. No idea. And finally, it dawns on me. She's talking about a video that she's seen on my YouTube channel that I've never seen, and she thinks it was me that made it. And so I'm like, wait, like, are you talking about a video that I made? She's like, yeah, you released that video this morning. And in that video, you said this, this, and this. And I know that you don't believe that. Like, or do you? Like, have you just, and all of a sudden it occurred to me that these videos were good enough to fool a woman that I had been married to for 20 years. Like, I've been
But
married to
it's
this
you.
lady forever. She thought it was me.
Yeah.
And I went, man,
Okay.
this is actually going to work because that was probably a week into the experiment, right? And she,
Oh, it was just the week into everything.
yes, yeah, we're about a week into
Okay.
doing
Okay.
this.
I got it. I got it.
And so that
Okay.
was for me the fuel that really took that made like if someone that you know for 20 years can fake content and you actually believe it's them when you go and watch it, like this is really really good. And so that fueled the rest of it, and now it's turned into what it is today, which if you go like on our Instagram page, we now have 10,000, I think 10,000 followers, which isn't a ton. We maybe get 500,000 or 750,000 views on our videos a month. um
Okay.
and I don't make any of them. Like at some point the AI version of Jesse is going to get famous and I will have never made a video other than the original ones that I put together for HeyGen. And and I think that that's really fun. And there's
I
lots of
totally.
areas where we've been doing that, but that's the most visible probably that someone could go and look at and go, "Oh wow, this is what a complex agentic system can actually do." If you've got talented AI developers that understand agentic AI and these frameworks and can put things together.
And Jesse, I always had this problem, especially when I jumped into this AI train. Even I talked about AI 7 years ago, how in future we will learn from AI agents. At that point, from AI avatars, as I call it at that time, everybody said, "Oh, Martin, it's science fiction. What are you talking?" I said, "Look, experts will never teach students in the future because it's impossible to adapt the content to each student. But with AI, it's possible to
Yep.
adapt the content to students' knowledge, to students' level, and everything else, and make it really interesting to that person. And it can be millions of users, and the content for each user will be different. And at that point, it sounded like, oh, it's
Martin's
not
crazy.
possible.
Martin's off in
Yeah,
some la la land.
usually they said, okay, let's get to reality. And nowadays, today, we are in this phase where it's possible. It's not only possible, we already doing this. And, with all these agentic bots, people are not understanding yet the practical application of AI. Like, oh, yeah, I can chat with ChatGPT to give me answers. Oh, yeah, maybe I can create a post for my LinkedIn or social media account.
Or my
Oh,
favorite,
okay,
they
it
write a
can
poem.
it
That's what people do.
yeah, it can write a poem. But when you combine these different agents who are teach to do different things, and when you combine full process together, it becomes really practical. And
Yes.
with videos, people like to see visual examples, and I believe this is the one of the simplest way to show the real example. You never created the script, you never edited the video, you never published the video, but video is out there and you're getting millions of views every month on your Instagram, you mentioned,
Yep.
and I believe on YouTube.
Yep.
And this is the practical application. And I saw this in 2023. Yeah. Today, by the way, I find it out it was November 11. So 11/11, I
Uh-huh.
started the AI Masters Agency because for me, at that moment, it was before OpenAI released these custom GPTs and agentic vision. But I was building the project where I said, hey, if we change people in this project with AI agents, now it makes sense. It's possible now.
Yep.
And basically, I said, okay, I'm stopping everything I was doing until this moment because it doesn't make sense at all.
Yep.
Nor internet marketing, digital marketing, whatever I was doing, it can be done by AI agents in the future. And we just jumped on this train. And until then, until today, we are building this. And when I met you, Jesse, you showed me examples, and this was exactly what we were building or trying to build. HeyGen, connecting all the systems together, creating scripts and etc. I was doing it for years basically, and I know how to start script, write it by your own hands,
Yep.
even on the paper, rewrite it 5 times or 10 times in 3 days, and then when I pushed everything into agent who knows the rules and it spits out for you ad prepared for your target audience instantly, basically, I was like, oh my God, okay, marketing is obsolete, everything is obsolete. We need to work on towards this direction. So I'm really glad you shared your story regarding these videos. And if people say, hey, what is the practical application of AI? Here it is. Just click the links in the description, check those applications, and you
Well,
will be really surprised.
and to be quite honest, it gets crazier than that because I think there's a world coming where you're going to have this underlying, and really we're working on building it right now. But you're going to have these agentic systems that act like applications that are sitting on
Yeah.
top of a messaging framework underneath that
Mhm.
allows the information inside your company to be shared seamlessly across departments. And like in my mind, what I see is the marketing team sees a demand in your industry for X, and so that agentic system that sees that demand alerts the sales system, right, that hey, there's this demand, and the all of the assets needed get created, right, the pitch decks get created, the trainings get created. It alerts the HR department that you're going to have to hire more lead gen people, more sales people, etc., to meet this market demand. So all of a sudden the the sales team is alerted because of something the agentic system found in the marketing side of things. And the sales team agents start helping the humans, augmenting the humans to deal with this new demand in the market. The HR department is instantaneously alerted and they start hiring for these positions. The operations team is alerted and they start making room for the new operations that are going to be coming when sales starts closing, right? And you have this cohesive agentic augmentation happening inside of your company that is cohesive across all of your departments. No more crappy communication, no more fighting between the different departments, no more having the sales team go sell stuff that operations isn't ready to do, or asking HR to do stuff that they're not doing because they don't see it as a priority. Instead, you've got this agentic system that sits on top of your business that is really augmenting all of the people and helping them do what makes a business valuable, which is create value, right? That's what businesses do. They make value. Well, if you can create value in a more efficient way and you can have seamless communication inside your company and you can know what's going on, then all of a sudden the people really become like the human in the loop inside these agentic systems that create value for whoever your customers are. And that's where I see the world going. Like ultimately, that is what I'm trying to build for rapid innovation just internally. I don't even care if it ever gets turned into a product and I sell it to anyone else. Now, I think that other people would be interested, but I myself personally, it's worth it to spend a lot of money to build this system, because with this system, you have a competitive advantage over the largest companies in whatever your industry is. And for me, like that is certainly worth spending a lot of time working on. And all of the like the marketing thing, like the video stuff, that was like a little POC, right? In the midst of it. Like, can I create this agentic system that works? I've got an HR one that goes out and hires people, screens people. It uses now the real time OpenAI API, so it can have a real interview with somebody, talk to them, get to know them,
Conversation with the
conversation.
voice and
Yep. I've got an estimations product that I'm building that uses a bunch of agents that basically will sit down with a prospect, fully understand their entire project from a back end point of view, a front end point of view, like have all the experts in the call and produce an entire proposal, all of the RFP. It'll actually create the epics and the sprints and the tasks for the developers based on what this person tells it. And then a proposal so that the sales team can go and talk to them about it. If that deal closes, then the information can be passed to the HR team and say, hey, we're going to need to have these people on the roster. Do we have them? Are they available? No, they're not. Okay, let's start hiring them so that we can bring them on board. And all of a sudden your company just can work, which to me is the most, I mean, wouldn't it be fun to own a business if you didn't have to deal with the headaches of owning a business? Like being
this
an
is why
entrepreneur is
this is
terrible.
why it was my dream all the time.
Yes.
I like doing business, but I hate doing specific parts of the business.
Yeah.
Like you don't like marketing, I don't like accounting,
Yep.
but I like creating things.
Yeah.
And
Oh
and
man.
if I will be focusing on the things that really matters, that's great. Everything else can be done by AI.
Yeah.
And currently, a lot of people asking, Martin, you are 1 year in this industry. What products are you have? Oh, I cannot show because they are working internally. So I don't need to
Yes.
work. I don't need to hire new people. It saves me money and it makes my life easier. So this is what we do
Yep.
at the moment.
Well, and that's where
And
I'm
later, maybe we will create products, or maybe not. I don't know.
well,
We will
that's
see.
where I'm trying to figure out where that balance is. Like I did decide on the video one. We
Mhm.
actually, maybe by the time this publishes, people will be able to see it, but we got a domain name. We turned it into an actual customer facing product called Cine, because it's got a pretty big
Okay.
vision behind it. And so one day, I'm not sure if it'll be ready by the time this podcast gets published. But if it is, I'll make sure to send you the link so it can be in the description and people can go check it out. But
I can update later, even
yes,
when it's ready. Yeah.
but like I want to try throwing some of these things out there. But ultimately, for me, I don't necessarily want to join the bandwagon of put out all of these individual products, right? Like there's a lot of products that'll create videos. That's fine. Like
Yeah.
I don't know that the marketplace needs another one, although I do think ours is exceptionally good. There's a lot of products that will help you in like your SDR flow and your sales flow. And I don't think the marketplace needs another one. There's a lot of products that help you with accounting. I don't think the marketplace needs another one. What the marketplace needs, in my opinion, is the marketplace needs what we're building underneath of that connect all of these things together so that these agentic systems have, in a sense, become an agentic system of agentic systems, right? So it's like an agentic think of it like agentic departments. So you've got your agentic system in accounting, but that agentic system has the ability to communicate with all of your other agentic systems so that it can make decisions and start taking action based on information that flows into a specific department. And that's what I'm really interested in building, is to continue to work out that underlying framework, which I imagine that when we get something that is really, really valuable and useful for us, that we will probably go to the market with that, because that is the piece that really makes this practical and valuable at scale. Right now, it is practical and valuable. I mean, just if you look at the fact that I have 75% less people than I had in 2022, and I am getting more done today than I used to do. Um, you can see the value of AI just in those numbers. If you reduce your staff by 75%, you shouldn't get more done. You should get less done. And But with AI, I mean, I figure it's 10x leverage on every person who uses it, roughly.
Yeah,
It roughly is. And
I totally agree. I can share a little bit my vision. You have a lot of people, you reduce them. My vision was not to have at all any people in the
yes,
company. And now I started to hear this concept like one to five people bands now create the businesses what can have run over 1 billion, per year.
yep.
So this is my goal, to create a company with really small team, what can make, I don't know, even the million or 2 millions, per month, year, whatever, run by the small teams can be really amazing.
When I
And
was I was talking to a guy yesterday whose little brother, he's
mm,
16. His
yeah.
little brother used AI to create an Amazon arbitrage business, right?
Hmm.
And so very simple e-commerce concept. Lots of people do it. It's hard to do well, but he's got an
Hmm.
advantage that, number one, he's grown up in the tech space, and number two, he's taking advantage of AI to basically do all this stuff. And he's 16; he has all the time in the world to do this. Right? He's making $200,000 a month at 16 years old, um,
Without the team or
with
with the
with
team,
no team, by himself.
with no
A
team.
16-year-old kid making 200
Yeah,
grand a month,
that
because he understands how to leverage AI to do stuff and is smart enough to do it and understands arbitrage and those kinds of things. And like that right there, like when I was 16, there was no business I could do and make $200,000 a month. It didn't exist. I mean, I could rob banks maybe, but
or do other stuff
yes,
like
uh,
you asked ChatGPT in the beginning.
yes, exactly. But there wasn't anything legitimate that I could go
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah.
And he's not a programmer, but he writes programs. He's utilizing Replit to create things. He's utilizing Cursor to create things. Like he's
Bolt and
basically just
etc.
understanding all the tools and what needs to happen, and learning just enough to direct the AI and act like a little CEO. And to me, that is the proof of concept for what you're talking about, because there will be
Yes.
somebody one day, maybe it'll be you, Martin, will take and build $1 billion a year business, and it'll just be him.
But my goal to encourage everyone to do that. It's not about me. That's great. I'm just happy on doing and being in the process, because this is what I do, and I believe I will do to the rest of my life because I just love it.
Yep.
But for others, we are living in different world already, and the markets were reset. When I started AI Masters, this is what I said to everyone: "A markets were reset. There are no rules anymore. Everyone starts from this point. Some already in a little bit advanced in the race, some not. But basically, we are at the point zero, and now we can start race."
Yep.
So for me, that's the concept was a year ago. And I still think you can jump on this bandwagon of AI and start building things.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to build, ask ChatGPT how
Yeah.
to build this and that. If
Yeah.
I don't know something, I'm asking. And somehow you're getting the answers, you're getting the code. Even I'm not coder, but for the last month, I was writing lines, thousands of lines of code. Not writing, I just copying, pasting, and seeing is it working or not. But and it
Uh,
worked. And
have you
my
have you used Replit?
it's similar like Cursor and
Oh, it's
Bolt. Yeah.
so much better than Cursor. You should go use Replit.
Okay.
So
The,
they're
the last
adding
one I used Windsurf.
Windsurf.
So
So
yeah.
Replit will. So I'll give you one example of Replit that this is.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I wanted a habit tracker app because I've got certain
Yeah.
things that I'm trying to build habits in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I looked on the Play Store. It was a couple, but they weren't what I wanted. They were close. So one of them was like 90%, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. Right.
Hmm.
I went on to Replit. I described what I wanted. I pushed a button. 15 minutes later, I had an application that was deployed and working, and I use it. And it
And
took
exactly how you want it to
exactly what I
be.
wanted. It was completely, and
That's
I am the only user on that app. I might be the only user who ever uses that app, but I tell you what, that app is exactly what I want. And
and this is exactly what I did. My wife said, "Hey, Martin, I have this idea for the productivity or something. Oh, the exercises how to relax because she's building for entrepreneurs all these cars. I have really simple product idea." I said, "Okay, tell me what." That night on my phone, I opened it Bolt new, and basically I described it and I got all the application working. And in the morning, I said, "Look, this night I was not sleeping, and yeah, I was not sleeping maybe 1 hour." And she said, "This is exactly what I wanted. That's it. How I can push it."
yep,
So it was like, and I was not programming. It was on my phone. So yes, it looks like a magic. Of course, if you want to do it, let's say push to higher level, of course you can hire designers, developers, and etc. But if you come with the code, with the project, they can take over, and
yeah.
it's simple for them to do that.
Well, and even on like Replit, they're integrating Stripe, I think, soon, if they haven't already. And so they're actually like, you will be able to do a non programmer will be able to have a conversation with an agentic AI. It will build the application, deploy the application, set up payment systems, and you can actually start marketing and advertising that and get users who are paying you. And you can do that without ever writing a single line of code or knowing how to program.
Yeah.
And like that to
And I think
me,
it's already possible. So
yep.
even today,
Yeah, as long as it's simple. It doesn't work if it gets complicated, but if you have a
yes,
simple idea, easy to go and do that. If you have something very very simple. In fact, I would say like before you call a company like Rapid Innovation and try to have us help you build something, you should go do that first because that costs $20. You come work with me, I'm going to charge you like $190,000 or $120,000. Like go spend $20, see if you can do it there because that's a lot
spend two
cheaper.
hours,
Yep.
you will get the concept.
Yep.
And with concept, it will be easier for you even to explain what you want to build.
Well, and
That's it.
or even beyond that, like I don't think people realize that if you show up to a development company like mine with a prototype and say this is what I want, but I want it to actually work and work better, like you reduce your developer costs by half. And so if that project was
Yes.
going to cost you $250,000 to build, it's going to cost you like 125,000 to build. If it was going to cost you 120, it's only going to cost you 60. Like the savings that you could get just in leveraging that and a day of working with something like Replit or Cursor or something along those lines, you could save
And
yourself
explaining it in the
six.
human language.
Yep. And you could save yourself $60,000. Like, how is that not worth it? It's going to cost you $20. It's going to take you 8 hours of your time and you save 60 grand.
Yes.
If I could make 60 grand every 8 hours, I'd be a pretty happy guy on the money side of things.
So So our message to everyone who's listening: try it. Just try it. There's no promotion on this video
Yes.
for these products. Just go it, try it. Cursor, Bolt, Rapid, or
Replit.
Replit,
Yeah.
and others. There are
Yeah.
many of these
Oh yeah.
tools are now popping
And
up.
I
Just
don't know
try
these
it.
guys. I don't get a dime from it.
Yeah.
I'm just really, really excited about them. Same thing with like HeyGen.
I,
Like
Yeah,
I don't get anything from them. I don't get anything from any of the stuff I'm talking about. I just love this industry and I love what you can do
you're
with it.
paying them to get an
I know.
account and use them.
And then I promote them. It's terrible. I should get them to pay me
I'm
something.
paying too. Today, by the way, I created my partner's avatar on HeyGen. So at the end of today, we should have our video for new product. I believe I will integrate our new product into this podcast somewhere. It's a voice assistant to do the appointment setting.
Nice.
So
Do you
yeah.
do you use the HeyGen like voice cloning as well, or do you get your voice cloning done elsewhere?
Elsewhere, we're using at the moment Blunt AI. I'm not saying
Okay.
it's the best one, but at least it does the thing. But our goal is not to be attached to the platform
Yeah.
because when I did the research, I found 34 platforms what does the same
Yeah.
thing, but they don't do everything what you should need to do in the backend, connecting to CRMs and etc. What is not so easy, let's say. And I spent lots of hours, tens or almost 100 hours in building these things, but now it's working like a charm. And we at the last phase of building and running our MVP, and it just books on the calendar for sales team the real leads, and leads already are prepared and etc. So it will be just easier to close. We'll see how it will work, but I believe it's already working better than the humans.
Yeah. Well, that's my estimation tool. Do you know how long it takes to train someone to understand every
I
aspect
know.
of building an
And this is what
application?
I hate in business.
It's
This is the
incredible.
main part. I don't like HR part in the
Yes.
business. But when you explain to AI, it gets it once
Once
and it's just
and does it
do it.
forever.
And
Set it and
it does
forget
it
it.
forever. You
Yeah.
can clone it
Yeah.
for other businesses and
Well,
etc.
yeah.
First time takes time. What
I
next
mean,
one? It's
honestly though, that's what I love about automation. You spend 6 hours and then never do the task again. Like that is
yes.
like if I will do that. My wife always makes fun of me because if I have a 5-minute task that I have to do 3 times, she said, "You're the only person I know who will spend 2 hours figuring out how to do that 5-minute task in 1 minute." So that you can only do so it only takes you 3 minutes to do it 3 times instead of 15 minutes to do it 3 times. I just have a mind that loves to automate things. And so AI for me is like, I mean, I'm in like tech
Jesse, you
heaven.
are my man. I really understand what you're talking about because I can spend days or even months on trying to save my 1 hour per month task, what I need to do every month because I hate to do
Yep.
it. But now AI can do it. And I just say, oh, notifications are coming. Oh, that's great. And I don't need to think about
Yep.
this or lift a finger.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So one topic, what I would like to maybe you have a tip for business owners because you did that. How you encourage others to use AI? What should be the first step? Let's say the business owners are listening right now for us and they're thinking, okay, so yeah, these things and concepts sounds great, but what is the first step? What they need to do to start making their team using AI.
So there's two things that I'd say you have to think about. The first one's
Okay.
your employees, right? Because here's something that's interesting about the work culture, I think globally, but at least in the US and some Western countries. People think they're valuable because of what they do. It's a thing, right? We've learned to track our time and we get paid for our time. How much do you make per hour? Like that's how we think about it. We think about we're trading our time and the things that we're doing for money. Well, AI changes that paradigm a lot because there's no longer any way for you to compete in what you do with an AI. You can't do it. Like if you're a copywriter, I'm sorry, it can write 1,000 times more copy than you in one day than you will ever write. And so you have to understand as a business owner where the value of your people actually lies. Like it isn't in what they do and it never has been. We think that because it's the means to an end, right? But at the end of the day, you don't actually care as a business owner what your employees do. You don't. No one does. Now we've learned to have to care about it because it is the means to the end. And so if they do the things they're supposed to do, you will get what you want, right? But as a business owner, and really even as a person, the thing that you're after is value creation, right? So a copywriter writes copy in order to communicate clearly and hopefully create some sort of value in the mind of a reader. A video editor edits videos in order to tell a story. An accountant rearranges numbers in order to help people make better decisions. A HR person hires people and interviews them and does all this work in order to find good people. And the list goes on and on and on. It's all a means to an end. And so as a business owner, one of the things that I did with my people is I sat down with them and I said, listen, I don't care about what you do. I've never cared about what you do. And you shouldn't either. What you should care about is the end result of what you do. And if you are a graphics designer, then the end result is, can I create stunning graphics that really, really emotionally resonate with people and capture their attention? That is what I am passionate about. How I get there, the doing of getting there, does not matter. And so if I can do it with AI, then all of a sudden I become a manager of agentic systems that accomplish a goal. Because here's the thing that AI isn't good at, that I am actually not sure it will be. I'm not sure how long it will take for it to get good at it, but I have a suspicion it will take a very long time. It is not good at understanding whether or not it has actually peaked at hitting the end goal of a project, right? If you say, write me really, really amazing copy for my website, it'll write you some copy, but it's not going to retrospectively go through that copy, think about who your prospect is, and go, does this copy resonate? Should we use that word? When I read this, what does it make me feel, right? Those are the things that a copywriter does. Now, typically they write the copy and do that, but they don't have to anymore. They can just do what they're good at, which is look at the messaging. They can spend more time at what they're good at. And so that has to be a conversation that anyone who has employees who's going to introduce AI, that they have a conversation with their employees about, because at the end of the day, they need to know, I don't value you for the 8 hours that you clock in every single day. I value you for the result that you produce. And so if you can take and produce a better result utilizing AI, I will value you more, even if it takes you less time. Um, and
If you can
so,
do your job in 1 hour, but you can do it twice, 3 times more, I
yes,
don't care.
oh, it's amazing, right?
Nobody.
No one
Yeah,
cares. No business
I'm
owner is going to
happy.
care, right? And so it's
I'm happy. I will ask how next day. Can you think how you can do a little bit more in the
yes,
same time?
exactly,
That's it.
right? Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, no business owner cares about the means to the end. They only care about the end result. Have you created value? And so have that conversation first and foremost so that people are not afraid. Because this was something that I found very interesting inside my company, and I see it inside other companies. People secretly use AI to do their job. They hide it from their boss because they believe that their boss is paying them to be on the clock and to do this work, right? But it just isn't true. I mean,
Oh,
someone gave me an amazing example of this the other day when they said, look, in 1951, go hire an accountant. There's no such thing as a computer, no such thing as a calculator. An accountant is literally someone who's good at math, who writes numbers down, makes sense of them, and then gives them to their boss or whoever so that they can make decisions
to
financially.
the government, converts to the government
Yep.
language of
Yeah.
accounting.
Yes, exactly. Right. So that's what an accountant does in 1950. Well, gosh, well, why don't we invent a computer and there'll be no accountants? Right? Why should an accountant exist today? It doesn't even make sense. There's not a single accountant on planet Earth that is better at doing math than a computer. There's not a single accountant on planet Earth that can pull out the insights that a computer will pull out. There's not a single accountant on planet Earth that's going to do better at making sense of the government language that they speak in accounting. It doesn't exist. Computers are better than all accountants. But oddly, we still have accountants. Why? Like, why do we have them? Well, that's because what made an accountant valuable was not doing the math equations. What made an accountant valuable was not making sense of the numbers. What made an accountant valuable was their ability to actually creatively pull insights and direction. And it's the human part of who we are, right? And that's why we still have accountants. Well, I think that most jobs in the future, programmers are still going to exist. Everyone says, hey, programmers aren't going to exist. That's not true. Like, programmers are valuable because they are architects, right? Because they understand, they're problem solvers, they're expert problem solvers. They're going to work with AI to solve problems, do it 100 times faster. And you'll hire a programmer to help you in the same way that you hire an accountant today to help you. Not because a programmer writes code, because that's going to be done by AI. But because a programmer understands programming, logic, problem solving, those kinds of skills. And so having that conversation with your employees, I think, is like paramount, because they need to understand that this is not a threat to them. This is a help. Like, they will become valuable. More people will want to work with them. More people will want to hire them, because at the end of the day, they are cutting out the middlemen of the 8 hours of work and just providing the end result to the people that hire them. And that is so much more valuable to most employers that really care.
This is one side, how to encourage employees to use AI. But another side, business leaders, they have fears and skepticism about AI. And they think if some of the business owners think what AI can, damage their business maybe, or do something else. So how you can encourage business owners to use AI? What should be the first step?
I mean, the first step is just go do it and see, because what I have discovered is that most people who say bad things about AI have never used it. That's what I've discovered. Most people who say, "Oh, you can't use AI to write copy," have never tried to use AI to write copy. They're repeating something they heard on Twitter. It happens to align with what they think, and they've never actually sat down with a copywriter that was passionate about AI and watched a copywriter write copy with AI, because that's an amazing, beautiful thing to see. They've never seen an accountant use AI to come up with insights on the numbers inside their business. They've just never done it. And so, I mean, the first thing that I would say is just go do it. If you don't know how, there's this amazing thing called ChatGPT or Claude. It's a large language model. It will teach you how to do it. And so you no longer need experts. Not to say that don't call Martin. You can call Martin too if you want to talk to a person, but you don't need to. Like, you can just pull up the AI and it'll start teaching you how to use itself. So that'd be number one, just start using it. Because what I've discovered is that 100% of the people that I have actually got to the point where they start using it regularly, they fall in love with it and they realize its value. And almost 100% of the people who don't think it's worth anything have never actually used it. They wrote a poem, they had a short conversation with it, and that was it. Um, and so that would be step number one, is just go use it. And then for me, like, I educate myself, like, find podcasts like this one and listen to them. Go find smart people who are building really cool things and go listen to them talk about it. Go find businesses that are actually using it and be curious and explore what they're doing. Because if you do that, your mind will be blown and you will start finding ways to use it in your business. It will happen.
So basically, educate yourself. Like this podcast, other podcasts around, watch videos. I don't know. I'm at the moment, I'm like a leech who's sucking all the information about everything what's going on. And, like OpenAI was releasing those 12 days. I think today is the last day of their Christmas surprises. And I love it. But, every day you need to catch that information. And
Yep.
of course, maybe not everyone has that skill to suck all the information it's possible and not be drained at the end of the day, because we are not robots, we are not AI, we are humans. This is our problem.
Yep.
But at least try to educate yourself.
Something I do, it's a weird hack for educating myself. Have you
Okay,
used
please.
Notebook LM at all?
Yes, yes. And by the way, now with the projects, it's basically the same. OpenAI projects, it's
Yes.
basically the same thing on OpenAI.
Well, so I'm an
Can
audit.
you tell audience what it is and
Yeah,
how you
so
use it?
So yeah, I'm an audio learner, right? Like I listen to
Mhm.
audiobooks, I watch YouTube videos or just listen to YouTube videos. Like I learn things by listening to them. Now not everyone is that way and that's fine. But if you are an audio learner, if you go to Notebook LM, which is free, you basically give it information. There's a little button where you can create a podcast, and it will take a large amount of complicated information, distill it down to all of its most important pieces, and then let you listen to a podcast about it. I probably do that 5 to 7 times a day with like, there'll be this big paper that comes out, right? Like Claude released one the other day on jailbreaking these LLMs, like maybe a week or so ago. I dumped that into Notebook LM, and then instead of reading this big paper while I'm doing some sort of busy work, I just listen to the podcast. And then if you are really interested in it and you realize, oh, there's something here for me, then you can take it and start chatting with the information. And so you can start asking it specific questions like, how does this apply to me and what my business is doing? How could I actually use this in my day to day business? And it'll start giving you information back. OpenAI does the same thing with their projects, more of a chatting style instead of creating the podcast. But
Yeah.
I love that initial podcast, me personally, because it tells me, do I want to dig into this further or not? It takes basically no time because I dump the information in. I'll even do it with really long like YouTube videos. It's got a way you can dump a YouTube video in, you can throw a website in, you can do all kinds of interesting, like pull in really any information you want. And then they just create a interesting podcast and you listen to that 8 minutes and go, huh, maybe this is worth exploring.
I do similar thing with YouTube videos. I just mark them into the list, yeah, like
Mhm,
bookmarks on YouTube.
mhm.
And every new video what comes into that list, automatically I get summary, full transcript, and specific questions what I usually look into those videos, what brands were mentioned it in that video, and etc. And I get it every time on Slack. So every time I watch on my Fire TV, Amazon, or on my phone, oh, this is nice video, I'm not watching them. I just marking them down into my playlist, and later I just read it. So 1 hour of reading, I already read a lot of videos. And if something interesting, I just click and watch it.
Yeah.
Usually I don't do that because there's no time.
Yes.
Time is the most expensive thing at the moment.
Yeah, no kidding for me as well. Well, and that's why I like to distill this down because it's a very fast moving target. Like AI is
Yeah.
changing on a daily basis. There is stuff like I spend a lot of time, too much time in the AI space looking at the things that I'm interested in, and I miss stuff all the time because there's just so much happening right now, and I think that could be overwhelming for
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of people. That's why like find a way to really niche down into what's useful for you and what you're doing, right? I mean, if you own a construction company, you probably don't necessarily need to be looking at this huge swath of stuff. Like you don't need to maybe look into the programming side of things, or although maybe you should. Um, but really understand like what are my problems and what AI exists out there right now that can help my team or myself can
Mhm.
augment me to deal with these specific problems that I face in my business.
And at the end, I would like to, go a little bit in the future. Let's be a futurist, and let's think. How do you see how AI will shape the workforce in the next 5 to 10 years? I had the podcast separately related to this, but I'm really curious how you see it because you applied already in your team. But what you see in the next 5 to 10 years, how the workforce will change with AI?
I mean, number one, that's a very, very difficult question to answer, but
Oh, yes,
um,
I know.
and I tend to have a bit of a controversial opinion because I do think it is going to be devastating to the workforce personally. I know that's not what what anyone wants to hear, but I think that there are a lot of jobs that are going to disappear, completely disappear. Um, Now, I think that there are also a lot of jobs that will stick around simply because of the accountant analogy, right? Like accountants don't need to exist today based on the job description of an accountant from 1950. An administrative
Mhm.
assistant does not need to exist today based on the job description from 1950. Um, In the same way that a farmer does not need to exist today based on the job description from the late 1800s, but all of those industries, they still exist, and there are still people that are working. What you'll find though is that like cab drivers no longer know how to take care of horses. They no longer know how, like, there's a huge difference between a cab driver today and the skill set that they have and a cab driver even 10 years ago and the skill set that they have with a cab driver today, which might just be a guy, using an Uber app. Like you no longer have to memorize the entirety of New York City. Who cares? Uber is going to tell you where to go. You have GPS. So we're going to see a lot of changes in how jobs work, but I do think we will see entire jobs in industries go away, that particular even though that particular industry may not. For instance, if you go back to 1950, 1920, an accounting department would have 30 people and they would have calculators, right? That was their job. Their job was to calculate numbers. And so they would be given a lot of numbers and they would spend all day calculating what it was that meant, and then they would give that to their boss and their boss would go and do the things. Well, those people that used to just do nothing but arithmetic all day long, there is no job that is that anymore. It doesn't exist. If you're an accountant, you're not going to do that. It doesn't exist. And I think we're going to see that happen in the AI space as well. I think it'll actually, if we're not prepared to handle it, I think it could be devastating for some people who are not prepared, which is part of why I'm as vocal as I am about it. Like, don't just have your head buried in the sand. Really think about what parts of your job an AI can do, and let's start reskilling you so that you can stop doing those things because an AI can do
And
them.
I was thinking, yeah, we are looking like 5, 10 years ahead,
Mhm.
but even 2025 was coming in a couple of weeks. uh, what do you think during that year? What role will disappear or becomes obsolete?
So I think that
In your opinion,
I
or
yeah
maybe two roles or
yes
three
I'll give
roles,
you
maybe.
two. I think that we're going to see programmers doing a lot less than they ever have. So I think we're going to start to lose people who do programming for a living, because there's a lot of people working on solving that problem. I think that we're going to see a certain aspect of law disappear, because I think we're going to start seeing large language
Even the
models
next year,
in
you
the
mean?
next
Yeah,
year. Yeah.
yeah.
And then I think that we're going to see a huge, I think it's a diagnostician, people who diagnose diseases, medical conditions, illnesses, things along those lines. Not the treating part of it, but the diagnosis portion of it. I think that in the medical field, we're going to lose a lot of the people who just do that for a living. Like their job is to diagnose what someone has. I think that AI is going to do that better. Programmers, I think that AI is going to learn to program better than people do in 2025. And lawyers, I think that AI is going to learn to write better contracts than human beings can in 2025, and due diligence and things along those lines. And so those would be the three that I think are potentially going to be impacted, although there are a lot more on the list. Those are just the three that came to mind immediately.
And when you said lawyers and writing the contracts, just day ago, ChatGPT created for me a document. I sent it to the right persons, and it saved me 2,500.
Yep.
Just because in other case, I needed to hire a lawyer. Maybe I need to
Yep.
pay 1,000 to write that document. And I just saw, okay, it makes sense. Okay, let's send it. I won't lose anything. At the end, I just saved money. And
Yep.
that was amazing. A
Yep.
year ago, I couldn't do that.
Yep. And I
So,
I I do the same thing. Now I do have a lawyer. He does look at things because I'm
yeah,
not
I'm
I'm
not
not
saying
stupid.
lawyers become
Yes.
obsolete. Anyway, you need to consult with the lawyer
Yes.
before going
But
out. But in this case, there was no way
well,
I would
and,
do it.
and the truth is, I pay 1/100th of what I used to pay to my lawyer already this year.
One
One
hundred.
100th. I would say that is accurate. I bet you I have paid 1/100th of what I used to pay. So
Okay,
1%. I've gotten rid of 99% of my attorney's fees, on the contract side
just
of
because
things,
of AI.
just because of AI. Now, All had to be set up. I had to hire an attorney to write me a really good
Yes.
contract. I still have to have him review different things. But once he's reviewed them, then it can go back into the AI, and the next 500 times it needs to be done, ChatGPT does it, like, or Claude does it, or something. Like, there's no reason
And
to
if you
keep
need the
sending
same
it back to
thing,
him.
it's done the same way,
Yep.
fast, without involving
Well, and it was
uh,
about the 100th time I sent something to my attorney for him to review, on my contract attorney for him to review, and he sent me something. He sent me a message back one time saying, "Do you have another lawyer?" And I was like, "No, no, no, I'm just using AI." And he said, "Huh, well, it's doing a really good job," because he had no feedback. Like, I'd send him a change, he'd be like, "Yep, that's fine." And that had cost me, what, he charges $250 an hour, so whatever that
yeah,
is for that 5 minutes, he charged me for it. But eventually, I just stopped having him review it because 100% of what I sent to him, he said was fine. And so now I
yeah.
don't use him for that stuff. Now I still use him for other things. Lawyers will still exist, but not in that capacity.
Okay.
And so,
Jesse, really, it's been an absolute pleasure to having you on this podcast and your insights into how AI can enhance businesses, empower teams, and shape the future are invaluable, really. And before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or advice for our listeners, whether they just starting their AI journey or looking to scale their efforts?
I mean, I would say just dive in and do it. It's scary because it's new and it's unknown, but the truth is, the people that I see making the biggest impacts on their businesses are the ones that are just doing it. Like, they're getting educated, they're getting a hold of Martins, listening to podcasts like this one, they're educating themselves, and they're just doing it. And realize
Practice.
you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna cost you a little bit of money. Who cares? I mean, I was telling someone this the other day. I pay for OpenAI's Pro account, right? Um,
Yeah.
and
I just paid last
yeah,
week.
somebody said, "Well, how could you pay that much money? It's $200." And I said, "Well, have you ever hired a personal assistant? How much is that going to
Yeah.
cost you? 3,000 a month, 4,000 a month, 5,000 a month? Guess what? $200 a month is cheaper. It just is."
And by the way, it Pro account created for us the video for the new service, and we all read it and we said, "Oh my God, it's amazing. Okay, let's push it into into the world." So
You,
next year it will be there, but it's basically written not by us, but by OpenAI Pro account.
when you're talking about
With
the O1 Pro mode, where it,
Yeah,
yeah,
O1 Pro,
yeah,
but we created a script, we put all our knowledge base and etc. But we said, look, we are targeting these people, and the copy is good, but maybe you can make the better copy and explain why this option is better than another option. And basically, it mixed out of 5 versions of each paragraph, and he chose the right ones and adapted. And when we read it, we said, "Oh my God, it's amazing." Okay, at least it should go into market, and we see, will it work? If not, we just create another version
yep.
and check it.
I mean,
This is how it works in the
it's
market.
absolutely worth paying $200 a month for. And that would be the other thing, is people are like, "Oh, it's so expensive." It's not expensive, not compared to people. And the truth is, if it can replace one person, it's
Oh
not expensive, and it will. It just will.
no, you pay for the person much more
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah. So just start doing it. That's what I'd say.
So, for everyone who's listening, thank you for tuning in to this episode of AI Master's Voice. And if you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your network. We love to hear your thoughts and your comments. And I believe me and Jesse can answer to your questions if you leave in the comments section. And don't miss out the next episode, where we will continue exploring how AI transforms industries. And until the next time, keep innovating, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.